One thing I always hear liberals and lefties and progressive types, whatnot, crying a lot about is how we need to abolish the Electoral College. And I'm probably going to do a longer post on this. But I guess what I would start by saying is, look at the way the Democratic Party stacks the deck and rigs their own nomination process for president. They screwed Bernie Sanders twice in a row, not because Bernie Sanders is a socialist or a progressive, but mainly because they don't want the working class to have any representation in this country. And the oligarchs and all their puppet politicians and all these real corrupt and shady special interests have been pretty effective. Of 50 years of not taxing the rich and all the other bullshit policies that we've had to endure in my lifetime and in your lifetime if you're a millennial or Gen Z or anyone from these younger generations. They've been real effective in making it hard for working class people to organize and in screwing us over and cheating us with wage theft and busting unions and shipping jobs offshore and everything else. But the Democratic Party they admitted in court when they got sued by Bernie Sanders supporters um, because of Dirty Debbie Wasserman Schultz's meddling and all the shit they were doing to super delegates and the way they were using the party bosses and all that crap to cheat Bernie Sanders supporters, not count our votes and rig that so that Bernie, even though he drew 10, 20, 30,000 people everywhere he went to speak, it was sold out audiences back in 2016, sold out crowds, I should say. Not sold out. You didn't have to pay to go see him. But you know what I mean? Bernie always spoke to big crowds. Hillary was lucky she put 500 damn people in a high school gym. And yet they want us to believe that Democratic primary was legit. I don't think there's anything legit about it. I haven't forgotten. I know that we were cheated. And you don't even have to be a Bernie supporter. You just have to be like an American that had two eyes and a good bullshit detector to know that they cheated Bernie in 16, and it's obvious they did it again in 20. But these Democrats, they want these small, obscure hillbilly state like South Carolina to vote first, just so they can rig it to get a hillbilly centrist piece of shit corporate candidate nominated again, like they always do. They always cheat, and screw progressives and screw over their own party's base. And then, but yet we have people like Pete Buttigieg and Kamala or Al Gore, whoever. I mean, what is there? There's literally, it seems to be almost a consensus on the left that, oh, we got to get rid of the Electoral College. When the Electoral College works 95% of the time, folks. We don't know what doesn't work. These fucking rigged primaries, the closed primary system, and the way that you got people in a party who claims they're Democratic. That's their literal name. And then they go to fucking public court and rule that no, we're a private organization. We can rig our fucking primaries and do as we choose. That's literally what they said in court. And look it up on Google if you don't believe me. But that's literally what they said. And they had all these people that sued because of the DNC's meddling and rigging it against Bernie Sanders in 2016. And then people thought, well, we've got to get rid of the Electoral College. Well, I'm sorry, folks, but the Electoral College works about 95% of the time. It does actually do a pretty good job of doing what the founders set it up to do. And that is essentially to ensure that states' rights are balanced against regional rights, so that you don't have big states like New York, California, Texas, I don't know, even more populous states like maybe in Illinois or Massachusetts or wherever, Georgia, some of these more populous states, that they don't have outsized influence in the process. It balances the rights of states' rights versus the bigger metro areas and the regional rights. So I think it works pretty well. And I think you better be careful what you wish for, because if we got rid of the Electoral College, that's not necessarily going to make America more small d democratic. If you want to have a good democracy where it's we the people again, and you actually have a government that's responsive to the needs of its own people, then we got to get all the fucking dirty money and special interests and lobbying and insider trading. We got to get all that shit out of our government. We have to reform it, get all that shit out, get the fucking money out. That's where all these problems stem from. They don't stem from the Electoral College. And people say, well, it's a winner take all. Well, we've always had a winner take all system. I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for. I understand that Electoral College, there's been a few instances like in 2000 and again in 2016 where the person who won the popular vote did not win the Electoral College. But I still think it works pretty well most of the time. And my whole thing is if you have a good candidate that knows how to campaign and can speak to the needs of the people, and you have things that Clinton and Obama were good at doing because they were good campaigners, they were good speakers. I didn't agree with Clinton and Obama on everything because they were centrist, and ultimately they kept this horrible Reagan economy going where it's tax cuts for the rich, and we know that doesn't work. We know it's a result in all the accumulation of wealth being in a few fucking wealthy families' hands and wealthy oligarchs' hands. And we don't have a country that works for working people anymore, and that's what we got to fix, right? Well, I think the Democrats need to fix their own fucking primaries before they lecture the whole rest of the country about how we need to get rid of the Electoral College when it works most of the time. If you have a good candidate who's good at campaigning, who's good at retail politics, and good at talking with voters, you can win those swing states. You can win those Rust Belt states and all those purple swing states or whatever. So to me, this whole thing about, we need to get rid of the Electoral College and have a national parliament. No, we don't. That's bullshit. The Electoral College works most of the time. The founders set it up. There was wisdom in the design of that. Not everything the founders did was perfect, but ultimately I think they did design a system that had checks and balances. The problem is all the fucking money in politics and these bullshit fucking poor excuses for judges on the Supreme Court that ruled the Citizens United. They basically said oligarchs and billionaires can buy off all our politicians all the goddamn money they want. And they're trying to equate all the BS money in politics with free speech when the two have nothing to do with each other. And it's an absolutely ludicrous argument to say that, a billionaire speaks with his money and so that makes it fair compared to these little guys who have to crowdsource candidates. Like, we see people crowdsourcing the more populist candidates, whether they're running on the left or the right or whatever. No, we need to get all the corporate money and these rich people's money the fuck out of politics. And we need to have more accountability. I'm for term limits. I'm for people who are in their 80s and probably can't even pass a driver's test anymore. They should not be representing us. Mitch McConnell, who's on his deathbed, should not be representing us. So we need more rules to make sure these people are competent. And I'm for term limits too. I'm in favor of that. But number one, get the money out of politics, in lobbying, in insider trading, speculation when you're serving in office. The Electoral College works most of the time, people. So cry more, lefties. I mean, to me, that is a lost cause in saying we got to get rid of the Electoral College. The Electoral College works. All you got to do is have candidates that are competent and not beholden to special interest, not some bullshit candidate that the corporate wing of the party or whatever puts in, like we've been getting in recent years, who keep losing to Donald Trump. You want to know how Donald Trump got in? It's because people are so tired of the establishment being corrupt. Okay? So, yeah, if the Democrats would listen to their own party and be progressive again, like old school Democrats, and care about people, that's how they'll fix their, problems when it comes to winning presidential elections. This whole thing about we need to get rid of the Electoral College is a BS argument. And the thing works 95% of the time. So be careful what you wish for. I don't think that getting rid of it is the answer. Number one, reform the primaries. We should have open primaries. We should have a national primary instead of this BS of every state setting an arbitrary primary date and states fighting over who goes first and blah, blah, blah. No, a national primary, an open primary where everybody can vote regardless of party affiliation, that would be much more fair and small d democratic. All right. Well, anyway, we'll talk more. Go ahead, comment, share your thoughts. Peace. Have a good one.